What's good, community? Gerald Moore Jr. here, and today I just want to share some information that I came across in the venture capital space. And so, as an African American male, an American descendant of slaves, this is a sector that we don't often talk about. We're often not educated on in our communities. And I think it's very important, especially when it comes down to economics and financing and starting businesses and growing opportunities in our communities. We need to be very aware and privy and educated on these economic engines that control our country and our society and a lot of things. So I'm going to share my screen here. And this is a few years old. I found this information and I realized that I hadn't really shared it or gone over it on my channel. So I wanted to do that before I clear out my computer. So here it is, the state of venture capital. This is from the All In podcast. This was released March 19th, 2021. And I'm just going to go over the basics. Like, this is very verbatim. We could talk about it, but I'm just putting this out here to archive this information because, again, I'm the type of person, I do research and then I expect everybody else to know the research I've done, or that, a lot of this stuff is just on the internet. And so you can find the information. But again, our communities, especially Black men, aren't privy to what's going on out here. So I just wanted to share this. Hopefully it helps somebody, even if it helps one person, job well done. So I'm going to, so key points here. The players are changing for the better. Founder demographics are shifting slowly but surely. Meanwhile, traditional VC investors are getting disrupted with the LMK. Let me know how I can help or be helpful. Model seeding ground to solo capitalists, non-traditional managers, and crossover investors. Inflation in quantum of capital equals more money at higher prices equals better terms for founders and employees. Founders enjoy lower costs of capital, enabling them to be generous with employees when it comes to liquidity and option value. Um, it's a founder's market for financing growth in the late stages, mega deals, especially fintech, new options like trading MRR or ARR, and e-commerce financing and SPACs have upended the traditional playbook. Founders now have plenty of options to growth or to fund growth. Founder demographics and stereotypes. And this is again why I bring this up, because a lot of times we don't understand these stereotypes and demographics. So females have lower representation among founders, but their influence is growing and winning more venture capital backing. The US is 50-50. Meanwhile, female founding companies made up 23% of all deals activity in 2019, up 12%, up from 12% in 2010. Racial diversity is still lacking, with white founders making up 77% of all deal activity in 2014 to 2019. Black founders were only 1%. This is why we need to talk about this. But the young tech bro stereotype is cracking. A 2019 academic study cited in New York Times showed the average age of tech founders is 42, and founders of the top 1% growing companies are 45. So here it shows you US total 2019, white, non-Hispanic, 59.7%. VC-backed founders, 2014, 2019, 77%. Black founders, 12.5%. VC backed founders, 1%. Asian, 5.8%, 17.7% founders. Hispanic, 18.7%, 1.8%. Multi-race, 2.3%, 2.5%. Changing demographics of VCs for better, but a long way to go. The percentage of female VC decision makers has grown more than two times in 5 years to 14.2%. Of the larger firms that have raised $1 billion or more since 2015, 26.6% have 2+ females decision makers. Still, 67% of the analyzed firms have 0 female decision makers, similar to a year ago. 80% of venture firms don't have a single Black investor. 80%. Different types of investors emerge and compete So generic value add VC is no longer differentiated. Venture capitalists who get an exit regardless of how much they made. And so these are just some memes. Different types of investors emerge and compete. Rise of solo capitalists and autonomization of established firms. The importance of individual brand has been steadily increasing in venture capital as a general culture for quite some time. Founders choose individuals and relationships over firms and institutions. Founders don't want to raise money from institutions as much anymore. Different types of investors emerge and compete. Non-VC investors are becoming more active in venture rounds, with almost 60% of 2020 deals, including at least one non-VC investor. So you can see here, deal size in billions. Just do the math, man. Just do the math. Different types of investors emerge and compete. Crossover funds are emerging as new force. Tiger Global announcing a deal every 48 hours so far in 2021. Platforms vertically integrating from public entities all the way down to the seed. Largest hedge funds launches of 2020 born as crossover funds. Inflation and quantum of capital equals more money at higher prices. In early stage, deal sizes keep growing. Average deal size up 3.3% over the last 10 years. Inflation and quantum of capital, more money at higher prices. In late stage, investors double and triple down on mega deals, ballooning the average round size over 5 times. In 10 years, fintech leads the way. So there you go. I mean, just charts. It's just showing you there's money, man. Higher pre-money valuations equals decreased cost of capital for founders equals less dilution for founders and employees. This is particularly good if we can continue building founder diversity. As exits happen, more distributed ownership, more people going out into the investing community as angels and solo VCs. Better terms mean better outcomes for employees that get paid in equity, more liquidity, more optionality. Companies are doing more secondary transactions and lengthening the exercise window of their employee option packages. VC is no longer the only game in town. New players emerge to help fund growth. As recurring and reoccurring revenue businesses have become better understood, companies can now finance growth without raising dilutive equity capital. Within 3 months of 2020, we saw 10 years worth of growth in e-commerce. This growth needs to be financed in a domestic way. Pipe makers, revenue streams, a tradable asset. Clearbank makes accessing cash advances algorithmic for e-commerce. Within 9M of launch, Pipe has connected 3,500 plus customers and over $1 billion plus ARR to investors willing to purchase revenue streams, empowering companies with growth capital instantly in non-dilutive way. Clearbank companies captured 2 times more growth than their peers in 2020 by accessing revenue-based financing, over $1.6 billion invested to date, with 8 times more women funded than VC. Meanwhile, venture debt, crowdfunding that have existed for a while but have not seen major innovation. SPAC, alternative to traditional IPO. Emergence of SPACs is shortening time to IPO. Time for initial VC investment to IPO has been stuck between 7 to 12 years for a decade, but has started to come down in 2020 and will continue to shrink with SPAC activity. Exits are bigger than ever before. Exits up 6.75 times over the last 10 years. If you're wondering why everyone wants to invest in VC today, these stats from PitchBook provide an answer. Exits in 2010, 43 billion. Exits in 2020, 290 billion. Exits from above 500 million in 2010 equals 5%. Exits above 500 million in 2020 is 30%. Wouldn't be so surprised if VC hits 1 trillion by 2030. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, what industry would you rather be in? I mean, venture capital, Black people, you see it, 1%, 1%, ladies and gentlemen, 1% VC back. This is where we need to be. This is where the money is at. I cracked into the VC world a few years ago before I became a stay-at-home dad, and I'm still involved, but I just been doing the research and education. But this is something that we need to be in heavy.